Okay then, as you can see, Portborough is not looking happy. Still got 130,000 population though, and raking in 26 grand a week, but there are problems. Most of this is because, hey, look what I did. Half the spandy new freight transfer center, distribution center is gone. And over here is a nice new harbour. Now, this harbour development is actually a lot bigger of a deal than it might first appear. First of all, there's now only one cargo hub. There's a regular cargo harbour, which, to look at the traffic, is operating perfectly well. I've also put in a shipping harbour, but at the moment it's not in use, but that's fair enough because there aren't any transit links. It's just I put it there to give myself an idea of the spacings. So, what am I up to? What on earth have I been playing at? Well, the first thing you might notice is there are a lot, oh yes baby, a lot of tracks here. By the way, this is nothing. This little piece of road is just there for me to park stuff that was in here without destroying it. Because I'm on infinite money, I could just as easily have destroyed it, but just stuck it over there. Okay, so what's happening? Well, you may or may not remember, there used to be a freight transfer facility here, and it was dedicated to this area. It's gone. We have this freight facility here, but I don't know. When I was operating earlier, from time to time, because I was trying to fill the harbour, I was having to run the game. Because as you see, it's paused now, and it's been paused for hours. But I had to run the game during the harbour fill in order to fill the harbour. And for some reason, these guys are not particularly interested in this. So that's something I might have to revisit. For the time being, I'm not over worried. Suffice it to say that this is now the rail cargo facility for this agricultural area. What's going to happen is I'm going to use Traffic Manager to deny trucks access to the city or off-world, off-map locations, so that they will have to use this or some future incarnation of this if they want to get anything that they've got in here out to the wider Portborough area. Okay, so here's me incoming line. And I spent some time, ladies and gentlemen, some time indeed, getting this all nice and parallel. I tidied up the point where it has to go under the airport, and let's face it, under an airport is the only way to go. The game would quite happily let me put a bridge right here. I don't know what landing and taking off planes would think about it, but the game will quite happily let you do that. But no, we've gone underground and we've come back up here, and then we've got this lovely sweeping curve set going through here. and at the moment just all terminating, basically. There is a problem with this, which is that the outside rail is the off-map rail. And the problem, of course, is that here we have a passenger station and off-map rail can't access it without crossing this rail somehow. I haven't quite thought about what I'm going to do. I may cheat. It did occur to me to cheat. And I may do a switcheroo here underground where it can't be seen. Which is cheating, so probably not, but it's an option. I'd just like you to know that I have these options. Interestingly, you see how nice and neat this is. Both of them dive in together and both of them come out together, and it's all quite slick, I think. I think probably in real life this would actually be extended and be much more gradual slope, and will probably include an overland component, you know, so it would be raised here somewhat. But never mind, it's neat, it's tidy, it's uniform, and these rails, you know, they look business-like and purposeful, even if it turns out that Sims don't like it. Never mind, let's wander over here. This is a good example of what happens when you just throw excuse me a moment, I just need to have a little cough. There you go. This is what happens when you're in a hurry to just get the rails out of the way, because what you really want to do is build this bit. And I mean, look at the profile of that. I mean, what is that all about? That'll get tidied up later, let's not worry about it. This weird and wonderful roundabout used to be connected to this area, and probably will be again, because that's actually a highway access. It's been disconnected because rails. Okay, so moving on then. This line here, which again, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't like the absolute shape that it has at the moment, so I'm going to change that, just to give it a more sweeping aspect. It's the passenger line into the freight facility. Anyway, to these two go out. Now, if you watched the previous video, you will know that one of the problems was that I had huge backups of traffic on the actual motorway itself. And it turns out, I say turns out, I imagined that one of the problems was that single cargo terminal. The single cargo terminal was dealing with the output from these four cargo stations. Now, in many ways, I'm probably wrong to be using four for just these two small industrial areas. If I just wait, what am I doing? If I switch to, you can see they're not that huge. So what's happened is, because I'm still uncertain whether or not to remove some, because when the city's running, obviously we're paused, when it's running, they do all see use. Now I know, and I firmly believe, in the shortest route philosophy. So given that all of these connect to this transfer facility, you might have to wonder whether these two would not be seen as the shortest route compared with these two. But of course it depends on local access as well. I say it depends, I imagine it depends on which way the various vehicles in these areas choose to get here. Never mind. I have kept them, and what happens is these lovely four, as near as I can make it, equidistantly spaced. They couldn't be perfectly equidistantly spaced because bridge pillar. Yes, I could have deleted the roads, and in fact I did, but by that time I'd already gone for this spacing. And in fact, if I just go in, for some reason this guy's on an embankment, but never mind. Yeah, there we have our rails. This is irritating, but what you're gonna do, because look what happens to the catenaries. But never mind. For the most part, I've got all my catenary gantries all lining up, mostly. And once we get down to four rails, they're all nicely lined up. Look at that, that's lovely, look at that. This is in a depression. I didn't realize it quite when I started building the rails, but then when I finally noticed, I thought, you know, that's quite city planning. Very often city planners will seek to put rail or roads in cuttings, we call these in the UK. I don't know what they're called globally, because obviously the noise is contained to a greater or lesser extent by virtue of the fact that it's somewhat below ground. I don't know whether it works. In fact, let's have a little look. I don't know whether it works in real life. I beg your pardon, in the game, but certainly in real life, it's considered to be a noise solution. Anyway, the four merge into two, but they merge into two after a considerable distance, because I'm still expecting train jams, if I'm honest. So I've given them some room to jam without necessarily interfering with each other. Anyway, moving on, it sweeps through these districts here, past what used to be the freight yard, and I'm going to have to put another freight yard back in here as it happens, because now Umber Square, which is also industrial, doesn't actually have a rail yard. These two have got four. These guys have got nothing at the moment. So where are we? Let's get rid of that. We've got all these lines, and they're all going to be accommodated by yeah, I moved him, you see. They're all going to be serving individual stations. I've got another little rail yard over here, which is intended to serve these fellas, but as you can see, there's two of them. There's no way it needs two, so not for that small of an industrial area. Plus it has direct access to the highway. So that's going to change. You see, this is what happens when you just grow your map without really planning. You just throw in stuff that you think you need then and there. And then a little bit later on, like now, you have to start thinking about how it really works and what you really needed and what you should have put in place right from the get-go. Another one here. This one is ostensibly to serve this specialized lumber industry. This used to be lumber industry as well, but to be honest with you, I just got sick of the sight of trucks carrying lumber everywhere. It was just ridiculous. Although it could be argued that they're only serving these few because these guys have their own too. Which again, it's overkill. That needs to be sorted out, and indeed will be. Finally, we've got this area. Now this area is in real trouble, and you can see straight away not enough raw materials. The reason for that is this area is actually cut off by virtue of Traffic Manager from the road network, and as I say, I had to run the game to fill my harbour, so this isn't getting used because the transfer facility is currently offline. This isn't getting used for the same reason. This is a passenger train station. It's using the line formerly used by my cargo traffic, which now goes all the way around the outside of the map. Now again, actually, let's just back up here. The two freight yards connect to this one line, which runs around the outside of the map, meets up with, but does not connect to, the external line. And a nice sweeping curve. And you've seen how I like my sweeping curves and geometric precision. Yeah, he said. These are going to both cross and will again terminate here. Probably I'm going to cut this down to one, and instead of at the moment what's happening is trains from here go along this mess of rail up here, connect with this one, which is from the Plains Woodland freight yards. There's one there, and come around this way. It's just too messy, so let's back up again. This will probably get cut down to one. I may or may not leave this in place. I'm thinking not, but short term, yeah, it'll stay. This line will work its way up this way. That's got to move as well. That's a trial run. I don't like the fact that it goes the way it goes. I'm not going to alter the orientation of the cargo hub, but I will alter the orientation of the departing rail line so that it's parallel with this. And what's going to happen is as you can see, these are all parallel. There's going to be a mess of parallel lines coming through here, connecting to all the terminals that I need. Now, before I go any further, I'd just like to point out that I know, oh yes, I know that there are far simpler solutions in terms of solving citywide problems. I started out building this facility because what I want to do is I want to get the trucks off my roads to a greater or lesser extent and have them use this facility, and by virtue of this facility mostly use trains. And the global game plan is that my various specialized industrial areas will supply my generic industrial areas via rail, and via rail only. These guys, though, will be free to attack the city in any way they seem fit, because they're the goods producers. They're going to need to talk to my commercial districts. But yes, I know there are simpler solutions. I know that most of the problems that this map exhibits are of my own making. But I don't want, thank you very much, not to have all this rail. Now that might seem like a strange thing to say. I like it. I like it because I like the way it looks. I like it because I like the concept. And it's my mission in life, as far as this game goes for the time being, to try, and that's all we can ever do, to try and force this concept to work. Now I am cheating, if cheating is the right term, in that I'm using Traffic Manager to deny trucks access to certain roads. If I was playing the vanilla game, I wouldn't have that luxury. And if anybody wants to jump in and say, well, you could use district policies to deny heavy traffic, I'm here to tell you right here and now that does not work. If the trucks have a pressing enough need to use a road, they will jolly well use it. You cannot stop the trucks going where they have to go. I even, and that's another reason for this road here, tried editing a road in the Asset Manager. This road denies trucks. That's what it does. It doesn't deny anything else. It doesn't deny public service vehicles or buses or cars or anything else, but it doesn't allow trucks by virtue of my having edited it in the Asset Manager. That doesn't work either. It's only with the installation of Traffic Manager and the ability to set the aggression of the prohibitions to, in my case, strict. You jolly well will not go down that road. Without that facility, this entire concept just falls flat on its face. And so yes, if you're an experienced city builder, an experienced city skyline player, and you're looking at this and thinking, well, you know what, you're just making a mess of it because this or that or the other. Yes, you're absolutely right. You know, for whatever reason, by and large, you're going to be absolutely right. But the simple fact is, the great thing about single player games is blaze your own trail, do it your own way. That said, having set myself this challenge, albeit that I'm cheating ever so slightly with Traffic Manager, it is a challenge. It's great fun. It's taken me hours so far just to get to this not working at all stage. And at the end of the day, for all its qualities, this is a game. In other words, it's recreation. Call it a hobby if you like. And I'm having great fun. And by that standard alone, it's working, even if I'm failing. But I have high hopes, and I just wanted you guys to be able to see where I'm going at the moment. Some short insight into my thought process as to what I intend, what I hope to achieve. Actually, in terms of what do I hope to achieve, ultimately, what I'm hoping to see is a freight yard, which is the central cargo distribution node for the entire city. So if you've got cargo that needs to go from here in the city to there in the city, it's going to come through here. This will keep the trucks off my streets. This will allow my traffic to flow freely without fighting with trucks. And again, hopefully I'll have this cool, manic trains in and out, left, right and centre facility, which will just look nice. Bit like this actually. This looks rather good when there's a couple of ships visiting. And at some point, perhaps, I say perhaps, I'll call it done. Don't see it happening anytime soon, because once this works, this area's got to go. Because this is maddening. Anyway, that's the state of play. If you bother to look at all, thanks for joining me. If you find anything interesting or you have any comments, please feel free to air them below, and I'll catch up with you next time. Goodbye now, and take care. Thanks for watching.